On air, online, on your side. You're watching KGUN 9, Good Morning Tucson.
In the days and weeks ahead, we expect to see the number of cases, the number of deaths, and the number of affected countries climb even higher.
A global pandemic declared with more countries reporting more COVID-19 cases. We're taking a closer look at this map right here behind us now of coronavirus cases. Right this minute, there have been 126,000 cases and nearly 5,000 deaths.
But what we don't talk about too often is that almost 70,000 people have actually recovered from COVID-19, right? The red here on this map is actually going to show the amount of confirmed cases. So it shows the total number of people who have maybe been diagnosed and then even cured too. But we're going to switch gears now. We'll go to this map, okay? Take a look. We're seeing the amount of active cases around the world totaling about 54,000. If we take a look at the difference one more time, we'll go back to the other one. The cases are dwindling. So this is the cumulative look, and then specifically taking a look at Asia, we'll switch it back here, getting just a little bit smaller here in the States. We're staying about the same as of right now. So coming back to southern Arizona, there are 3 new presumptive positive cases of coronavirus in Arizona this morning. One of the new cases of coronavirus is in Maricopa County. 2 are in Pinal.
This brings the state's total to 9 cases. The 2 cases in Pinal are people older than 60. They both are from the same household as the county's 3 other cases. In Maricopa, a man in his 90s tested presumptive positive. The Arizona Department of Health Services says they've tested 100 people for the virus and are still waiting on results for 32 tests. So far, Pima County has just 1 case. That person has recovered and is under self-quarantine.
Our approach has been to be calm, steady, and transparent, and to act with urgency to protect public health. This approach allowed Arizona to become one of the first states in the nation to be certified by the CDC to test for COVID-19.
That's Governor Doug Ducey. He's calling the COVID-19 outbreak a public health emergency. He did that yesterday. He says while Arizona has a small number of cases compared to some other states, he expects that number to rise. Schools can be a hotbed for germs to spread, so now Arizona's biggest universities are going online, at least for now anyways. Both the University of Arizona and ASU have said they will hold all classes online when possible.
ASU will revisit the issue in about 2 weeks. The U of A says they're delaying their return from spring break to March 18th, which is next Wednesday. They'll continue in online mode until at least April 6th. And it's not just schools. We've also seen events here in Pima County either get canceled or postponed.
That's exactly right. But one group is opting to not cancel or postpone an important event. Now on your sides, Veronica Acosta joining us live from 4th Avenue with details on why organizers are choosing to move forward. Veronica, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Well, it's the 4th Avenue Merchants Association. They say that they are going as planned. They're going to be going as scheduled with that spring street fair, which is just in a few days, about a week from now. Now, organizers say they are taking the advice of both city and county health leaders, which, as we know, we've heard it echoed over and over in those press conferences, continue with everyday life. Now, the street fair, like I mentioned, it starts on March 20th and then it goes through the weekend up until March 22nd. Organizers said that in the past, the event has brought an average of about 75,000 people down to 4th Avenue, and this is per day, not the entire weekend, but per day that it happens. Now, while that is a large number of people getting together, they added they do plan on having more hand washing and hand sanitizing stations all around the fair. Organizers also added that unlike the Festival of Books, which we know got canceled earlier this week, they don't have the same issues.
The vast majority of our artists are driving in. We know that the Festival of Books had to make a very difficult decision because of a lot of the air restrictions for their authors coming in. So it's not the same case that we face.
Valerie said that as of yesterday, they had no participant cancellations. She also said they had a wait list of artists and other participants who wanted to join in on the street fair if anybody happened to cancel. And hey, this event isn't the only one. These organizers, they aren't the only ones who are saying they're going to continue as planned. We got a release from the folks who run the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and they say they are also, like the street fair, continuing as planned. For now, we're live on 4th Avenue. Veronica Acosta, KGUN 9. On your side.
All right, Veronica, thank you. Well, the Irish are also staying strong during the outbreak. Tucson's St. Patrick's Day Parade will go on as planned. Organizers say they're following the directive of the Pima County Health Department not to cancel public events. That parade is this Sunday morning, 11 o'clock downtown. It will end at Armory Park.
President Trump making an Oval Office address to the country, cutting off travel from most of Europe in the midst of the pandemic. The new rules here on your screen will go into effect Friday at midnight, but the restrictions do not apply to the United Kingdom. Now, the president also adding that there will be exemptions for Americans and traded cargo. And just into our newsroom this morning, Delta adding its name to the list of airlines waiving change fees for travelers because of this ban. New developments with the coronavirus have been pouring in over the past 24 hours.
It kind of fills up your brain, right? So we're going to wrap up what we know so far. The CDC is reporting 938 cases of the virus in 38 states and in Washington, D.C. as well. 29 people have died. This is here in the U.S. Health officials do not know how more than 700 of those patients caught COVID-19. In the world of sports, the NCAA and Pac-12 have banned fans from their postseason tournaments, and the NBA has suspended its season until further notice.
And President Trump asked Congress to cut in the payroll tax as a relief for businesses and workers. He is also working with tech companies to fight misinformation. Celebrities Tom Hanks and his wife have also confirmed they tested positive for the virus in Australia. So KGUN 9, we have a special section on our website for you dedicated to informing you all about COVID-19 and the latest that's happening for prevention tips and everything else you need to know. Make sure to visit kgun9.com/coronavirus.
On air, online, on your side. Brought to you by Precious Metal Refinery. You're watching KGUN 9, Good Morning Tucson.
Dozens of people outside her home and death threats coming to her family. Now on Good Morning Tucson, the Arizona Secretary of State speaking out and says all of this is over election results. Plus, President Trump's delay in concession is impacting more than you might think, when leaders say it could leave the U.S. as sitting ducks to outside threats.
And you might be seeing some familiar faces at tip-offs during the next NBA season. We'll tell you which Wildcats were picked during last night's draft. Good morning, Tucson. Happy Thursday. I'm Lydia Camarillo.
Mark Charter, glad you're with us. 6:30 now, bottom of the hour. We'll check in with meteorologist April Madison for a look at our forecast. Decent day out there, huh?
Not bad. We've only dipped to 59, so relatively mild yet cool start to the day. It's going to climb pretty quickly, though, but for November, even record heat still pretty nice. If you have any outdoor plans, you can enjoy it. We'll be about 74 by 10 a.m., 84 by noon, and looking to hit 89 for the high today. That should beat the daily record by at least a degree, but cooler air is headed our way. We'll tell you when that's going to happen coming up.
All right, sounds like a plan, April. Thank you. Developing this morning, the U.S. has reached another milestone with more than 250,000 people dying from COVID-19. Experts say that is 10 times the number of people killed in an average year in vehicle crashes, strokes, and suicides combined. It's also about 6 times the number of people who died from the flu in the years before coronavirus. Well, the health department says 6 zip codes in Tucson account for thousands of reported COVID cases and hundreds of deaths too. The 6 zip codes up on your screen, or they should be, there they are. They account for almost half of total cases in the county and just under 1/3 of deaths. All of them are in the city of Tucson, where Mayor Regina Romero says city leaders are working with health officials to curb the spread.
We pushed hard on the city of Tucson mayor and council side to open up locations in the city of Tucson where we're seeing the majority of cases.
You can find information about free testing sites in the city by following the links up on our website, kgun9.com. Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs says people have threatened to kill her over election results.
Governor Doug Ducey condemned several threats against our state's top election officer. New surveillance video here shows protesters showing up outside her Phoenix home. Along with a death threat, her home address and son's phone number were leaked online. Living in the public eye, Secretary Hobbs said in a statement she was prepared for this, but threats made to her family and staff are unacceptable.
I'm in the position now of getting threatened on social media. I've had to shut down a whole bunch of channels. We had to redirect our office's phone because our offices, every division of our office was being flooded with calls, and not just people asking questions, but people being abusive and harassing. Nobody here signed up for that.
Now, Governor Ducey is committing Department of Public Safety troopers to help investigate and protect the secretary. There's been a lot of talk from politicians about the election and transition for President-elect Joe Biden. But what are Arizonans on both sides saying about where the country stands as a whole? Well, we first met this group of retirees a few weeks before the election in Maricopa County. And we're checking back in. Our sister station in Phoenix is. And the divisions are still there between those who voted for President-elect Biden and those who voted for President Trump.
But when he concedes, that means the election is over. No. Doesn't mean squat.
So another main point of division is the pandemic still. This debate is what President-elect Biden will inherit come January. Well, more than 2 weeks after Election Day, President Trump has yet to concede he lost the election to President-elect Joe Biden.
And now there's, lots of talk about how this is delaying Biden's briefings. Leaders say the transition period is really about access to information, personnel, and money. That kind of delay could leave the U.S. vulnerable, not just to a rampaging COVID-19 pandemic, but also to potential terrorist threats.
This is particularly important in the areas of national security, where the lame duck period time between administrations might make a very attractive a target for our nation's enemies.
Now, there have been transition delays before. So in 2000, after the disputed Bush-Gore election went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. In this instance, though, that is not happening. The Tucson airport is bringing in a new program to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Travelers can do when they land at TIA on the weekends.
Plus, with billions of vaccines set to be ready for the public sometime soon, freight airlines are gearing up to fly them out around the world, but the strict storage guidelines could cause some trouble. It's 6:35 this Thursday. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
If you need a gift for Christmas, how about the 2020 scent? What do you think? It's a candle created by a company called Flaming Crap. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't read the script.
Well,
the novelty company says the candle has 4 layers, hand sanitizer, and banana bread. Along with a woody musk, a nod to the popularity of lockdown DIY. And finally, you're going to get the smell of cheap aftershave and an earthy essence dedicated to the Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic. This just keeps getting better and better. What?
Oh, I want to smell it now.
I don't know if I do.
Yeah, you do it, and then you let us know what you think.
I volunteer. That's a lot going on.
You be the guinea pig.
I'm confused about the banana bread.
That's all you're confused about?
I think it's because people were baking it the most.
Oh, yeah,
during the
everybody's at
pandemic.
home.
I think now I understand.
Oh, it's a pandemic thing. All the baking.
Makes sense, because we're stuck at home. You're doing a lot of baking.
Scent.
Got it. All right. Well, that's all you, Lydia. You keep us posted.
Get your stockings ready, ladies.
Org.
Wookies.
There you go. This holiday season, you can add this new tune to your playlist. And this one, your pup might like it, too. Just look at them go there. Raise the Woof is billed as the first Christmas single written specifically for our four-legged friends. It was made using scientific research into how dogs interact with the sound, so it looks like they love it. Those tails wagging. Maybe Dexter might want to listen to this, Mark, or your
Don't even
dog.
say that. That is the most obnoxious sound I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, I'm taking this home.
If Joe is watching right now, you're going to put ideas in the head, and I don't want to hear it.
Joe, you and I are together on this. I'm going to play it for my dogs.
This is not good.
I'm going to video the reaction.
I was going to say get video.
And then we're gonna see if it really...
They should release like a whole series on dogs. You've got cats, you've got parrots, you've got all this stuff. Wouldn't that be great?
Let's make sure we play it over and over again.
I want to see people's home videos playing it for their dogs and their dogs' faces. Why do I have a feeling it's not going to look like that right there?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
So, what did you say? Scientific evidence?
Yeah, that they like this sound. We may not like it, but they do.
We'll go with it.
Well, there you go. Raise the woof.
Woof. It is 6:26. You're watching Good Morning Tucson this Thursday. We'll be right back for you.
His final minutes in office there. Well, good morning to you, Tucson. I'm Lydia Camarillo. Thanks for joining us right now.
Yeah, I'm Mark Charter. Glad you're with us. 6 o'clock, top of the hour on this morning of the inauguration. We'll get right into our coverage on this inauguration day. And between the tensions around it and the pandemic, it'll be unlike any other our country has ever seen.
Yeah, instead of balls and parades, there will be Zoom parties instead. And instead of thousands heading to the Capitol grounds and National Mall, there will be members of the National Guard there. Actually right now, but the new administration says it's ready.
Come before you humbled by the faith you have put in me and President-elect Biden, and ready to do the work.
However, though, history will also be made when Kamala Harris is sworn in as the nation's next vice president. She will become the first female black woman and first person of South Asian descent to hold that particular role. Here's a lineup of some of the other events happening today, too, for you. First up, at the swearing-in ceremony, it'll start at about 9:30 our time. That's this morning, of course. Harris will be sworn in first, followed by Joe Biden at about 10 o'clock this morning. After they took their oaths of office, Biden will deliver his inaugural address. There will be a ceremony with speakers and musical performances. Then Biden, Harris, and their spouses will participate in a pass-in review with members of the military. After that, they'll visit Arlington National to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Joe Biden will then get a presidential escort to the White House, followed by a virtual parade across America.
Security is tight around the Capitol right now. The heightened enforcement comes in response to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. So the U.S. Secret Service is in charge of securing the overall inauguration and says it is prepared. So far, there have been no specific threats made against soon-to-be President Joe Biden. Well, hours before Joe Biden becomes the 46th president of the United States, at least 12 Army National Guard members are no longer part of today's inauguration security detail. Defense leaders weren't specific about what led to the removals, but said a vetting process revealed these individuals previously made some inappropriate comments or displayed questionable behavior.
We are taking steps to ensure that there's no concerns. The American people should have confidence in the National Guard.
There are about 25,000 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. this morning, including some from Arizona, all focused on keeping the area safe during the transition of power. Efforts to uncover and eliminate extremism within the military started prior to the riot at the U.S. Capitol earlier this month. Now, both the Republican and Democratic Party chairs in Pima County are hopeful about today's inauguration.
Republican chair says she's looking forward to a smooth transfer of power, and she's looking toward Joe Biden to unite the country. Listen.
There are 50% of the people who aren't thinking like him. So it's going to be up to him to find the middle ground where we can come together as a country.
Pima County Democratic Chair Bonnie Heidler says after the Capitol riots on January 6th, President-elect Joe Biden cannot reunite the divided nation alone.
I hope he can do it, but he needs help. He's going to need help for those people who are in Congress who don't believe that he was elected in a fair and open election.
The Democratic chair says she's afraid there could be violence around the country today. The Republican chair is not concerned with the violence, pointing to the large National Guard presence in Washington. The inauguration will air on KGUN 9, plus all of our streaming platforms starting at 9:30 our time here in Tucson. Make sure to stick with us throughout the entire day for coverage. And we also have a complete guide of what's happening today right on KGUN9.com.
Now, your first warning weather with meteorologist April Madison.
Good morning. Dust off the umbrella. You may not need it early on, but by later today, there's a good chance you will. 56 out there. Winds are still pretty strong, at least at the airport out of the southeast at about 17 miles per hour. It's because we've got rain approaching. Most of it is to our west and southwest, but as the day progresses, we anticipate not only becoming more widespread, but seeing those showers the later it gets, and then probably going to be a lot stronger overnight into your Thursday. I'll break down the timing and totals for you. Still going to be in the upper 60s for the highs today, a little bit breezy. But we'll go over the rain chances, and we've got more than one. That's coming up.
Now, your first morning traffic with Big Al.
Morning to you. Maple Street under construction, but a lot of the work has been done on Maple. Maple between 6th Avenue all the way west to Main, in fact, a little further west to 13th Avenue. The project was a significant one because Pima County Wastewater and the contractor had to deal with basically getting rid of old pipe that was just no good any longer. From 6th to 13th, they did it in sections, and now the milling and paving section of the work that they've done to cover up all the activity that they've done, plus abandoning the old pipe, is underway, probably done by mid-February or so. That's the latest from our First Warning Traffic Center.
One of Joe Biden's campaign promises is to stop the building of the border wall, and some Arizonans are making sure he follows through. But some say stopping that wall might actually cost taxpayers some money.
And in other news, Chuck Huckleberry will keep his position as county administrator, but there are new rules in place. We'll talk about it. 6:05. You're watching Good Morning Tucson on this Inauguration Day. We'll be right back.
We'd like to go to a live look now at Joint Base Andrews, where Air Force One is waiting for President Trump. It'll take him to Florida. Yeah, the president plans to hold a farewell ceremony there before President-elect Joe Biden's swearing-in ceremony happens later this morning. Pima County Administrator Chuck Huckleberry will hold on to his job for another 4 years, but there's going to be some changes.
The Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 to extend his contract, but for the first time, the board will evaluate his leadership. This comes a week after 2 unions demanded his contract only be extended 6 months to search for a new leader. They told us they don't have confidence in his leadership abilities during the pandemic, impacting staff morale.
Their concerns must and will be addressed. No organization can move forward if its employees do not feel acknowledged, respected, and supported.
The board voted not to give Huckleberry the $13,000 raise. Instead, his base salary will be reduced by $10,000, $292,000 a year in fact, and any jump in salary would be based on an evaluation. The new contract still needs to be ratified. President Trump giving one of his final addresses as the nation's leader, what he says he's most proud of from his term.
Plus, it's going to be an inauguration unlike anything we've seen before. To help break everything down, our political expert Joe St. George will join us live from the Capitol on what to expect.
It's a big day in the nation's capital and across the country, too, as we're hours away from the swearing in of the 46th president of the United States.
Yeah, you see here our political correspondent Joe St. George standing by, joining us now from Washington, D.C. Joe, good morning. You are there in the middle of it all. Can you describe to us what you're seeing out there right now this morning?
Well, you know, it's beginning, right? It feels this hour it's beginning. President Donald Trump, over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, departing the White House, having a final send-off from Andrews Air Force Base. Many of his supporters will be joining him there and not attending the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. Again, the first president in 150 years to not welcome in the incoming president with a breakfast at the White House, or at least go to the platform itself on the west steps of the United States Capitol and say that the new transition, the new administration is taking over. So look, I mean, this is going to be an inauguration. If you're an inauguration enthusiast waking up in Arizona this morning, you know, this one's different. There's no crowds because of the pandemic. There's no outgoing president because of the division in this country. There is a lot that is facing the incoming president. Will certainly be a lot on his plate come noon Eastern time when he takes over.
Well, so Joe, going back to kind of what you mentioned here, obviously security is the big story, but also those COVID-19 safety protocols in place. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the differences we can expect to maybe see because of those restrictions.
Yeah, you know, you're not going to see the massive crowds surrounding the inaugural stage that perhaps you're used to seeing. Those photographs with the president taking the oath of office and all the other people huddled behind them. That's just not going to be the case because of the pandemic. A number of lawmakers, as has been mentioned, are skipping the inaugural ceremony altogether. Not just Republicans, but some Democrats are saying, you know, the pandemic, it's just not worth the risk to stand outside in 30-degree weather on the west steps of the U.S. Capitol and do this inauguration. So it's different. It feels different. The lack of crowds, you certainly lose a bit of energy that usually surrounds the pomp and circumstance of this day. I've been to a few of these inaugurations, and I can tell you, overlooking this broadcast location, it's quite dead still, with several hours before the ceremony, where in normal years there'd be thousands of people trying to find that perfect spot to see the speech, to hear the performers. It's different. It feels different. I guess appreciate it, right? Because we probably won't see this 4 years from now.
All right, Joe, and we're hearing right now that President Trump is in Marine One, heading to Joint Base Andrews while he's holding that farewell send-off. So tell us a little bit about the difference here in transition of power with the Trump administration. We're taking a look right now at Marine One outside of the White House right now. So talk to us about, you know, this impact from supporters on both sides of the aisle that this is going to have.
Yeah, as Marine One departs for one final journey to Joint Base Andrews, it's a short helicopter ride over the National Mall, over the city of Washington, crossing the river to the Air Force Base. He'll have a military send-off there before taking one final ride down on Air Force One to Florida. But, you know, to some degree, if this was a governor or a senator even becoming president, this turbulent transition would certainly be impactful. But because President-elect Biden was vice president for 8 years, he's familiar with the oath, familiar with the duties of the presidency. He knows where the bathrooms are in the West Wing, as we have said. He knows what the job entails, and that has perhaps better prepared him for this very raucous transition. But as President Trump leaves Washington, very much uncertainty with his political future. Will he run again? Won't he run again? He issued over 140 pardons and clemencies overnight. A lot of questions surrounding what is next for President Trump. One thing we do know, an impeachment trial will be taking place in the United States Senate in short order.
Joe St. George, thank you so much. As always, we do appreciate it. We're seeing, here we go, President Trump leaving the White House for the last time in Marine One. Like Joe said, he's going to make that quick helicopter ride over to Air Force One, right over the Capitol Mall. Again, folks, we are seeing President Trump leaving the White House for the last time. He does say that he's proud of all that he's accomplished during his presidency. If you didn't see it, he released a video farewell message on his last full day as president. We're going to hear that in just a moment, but first we'll just watch this for 1 second.
To serve as your president has been an honor beyond description. Thank you for this extraordinary privilege, and that's what it is, a great privilege and a great honor. We must never forget that while Americans will always have our disagreements, we are a nation of incredible, decent, faithful, and peace-loving citizens who all want our country to thrive and flourish and be very, very successful and good.
Again, that was President Trump's farewell message that he released yesterday. He says some of his accomplishments included not starting any new foreign wars, adopting a tough stance on China, and growing the economy. He extended best wishes to the incoming administration.
Yeah, and again, this is a pretty short ride over to Joint Base Andrews, so we'll see the helicopter touch down here at any moment. And from there, President Trump's expected to fly to his office in Mar-a-Lago Estate in Florida, and that's where he'll spend his final minutes in office ahead of Joe Biden's swearing in. So right now you're taking that live look at the Capitol. We're just hours away from that swearing in ceremony. That's going to be 9:30 Tucson time. All right. But the future vice president will see the current vice president off and his final day and her first day on the job. So a source says Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will escort outgoing Vice President Mike Pence to his motorcade after the inauguration. Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, and Second Lady Karen Pence will also be part of this, and the walk does keep up with past protocol here with the Vice President and soon-to-be Vice President Kamala Harris. So again, here's the information on your screen. The inauguration will air right here on KGUN 9, plus all of our streaming platforms at 9:30 this morning. That's when it all begins. Make sure to stay with us as well throughout the day. Many events happening, and we also have a complete guide on what's happening and when on KGUN9.com.
Now, your first warning weather with meteorologist April Madison.
Good morning, 6:21 on this Wednesday. We've held on to the 50s this morning for a few reasons. One, our wind just doesn't want to die down at the airport. It hasn't been quite as bad to the north, but to the south, we definitely see some pretty strong winds and wind gusts. We've got a little bit of cloud cover out there as we anticipate the rain's arrival. It's been moving into the western half of the state, just not quite to us just yet. When it comes to the timing, best chance for us to see more widespread rain is really going to be more tonight, overnight into early Thursday. The best areas, Cochise, Santa Cruz, and far southeast Pima County for the widespread rain, or at least the bulk of it. And it'll slowly be tapering from west to east throughout the day on Thursday. But a second storm will arrive over the weekend. So we've got a series of storms that we're going to see over the next week or so. Highs today won't be too bad, not too cool. 50s and 60s across Cochise County, mostly 60s and low 70s across Pima County. But the temperature will continue to drop each and every day as we get into the weekend. So there it is on the radar. You can see it already starting to push into the far southwest and western sections of the state, far western Pima County seeing it, but the entire section, you can see the center of circulation is going to start making its way east, and all of this moisture will start kind of filling in to central and southern Arizona and then southeast Arizona throughout late today and tonight, and we are expecting that to kind of wrap around and start becoming more widespread the later it gets. So when it comes to the futurecast, again, most of the day, or at least the early part of it, will be anywhere from partly to mostly cloudy. The really heavier widespread rain and maybe even embedded thunderstorms, as you can see later this evening, overnight hours, you might sleep through the bulk of it, and then we'll just kind of linger off and on throughout the day on Thursday. First round will probably stay right around a ½ inch or under from Tucson west, a little bit better chance as we go to the southeast sections of the state. But if you count the second, third storm moving into early next week, we could end up with over an inch in Tucson once they are all said and done. That includes today's storm into Thursday, Saturday's into Sunday, and that second impulse that'll come in Monday and Tuesday, and our lows will go down to the 30s as our highs go down to the 50s.
Now, your first warning traffic with Big Al.
Morning to you. It is 6:23 and no issues on the freeway. We picked up an issue, though, on westbound Golf Links near the area of Wilmot. It's a wreck. I'm not sure how significant it is, but westbound slowing is what we're seeing right now. This is maybe 4 minutes old at the most, Golf Links in Wilmot. Out here to the area of Speedway Boulevard, way out west. If you're heading over Gates Pass, this will affect you. Between the area of Painted Hills and Camino de Oeste. What are they doing? Widening and improving Speedway, especially adding shoulders where there really aren't any shoulders. Speedway is so narrow out there, they're adding shoulders, and that's a significant act going on. Flaggers, Mondays through Thursdays, starting at 7 a.m. Hopefully they'll be done with this sometime in March. That is the latest from our First Warning Traffic Center.
All right, Big Al, thank you. Our inauguration coverage will continue throughout the morning.
It's been a busy day so far, right? You're watching Good Morning Tucson. Stay with us. Another half hour coming at you after the break.
On air, online, on your side. You're watching KGUN 9, Good Morning Tucson.
Well, we told you it was going to be a quick trip, and we were right. Happening right now, Marine One just landing at Joint Andrews Base, where he will give his farewell address. This, of course, is before President-elect Joe Biden is sworn into office later this morning.
Yeah, so we're watching the final moments of Donald Trump's presidency here this morning for you. Again, President Trump is expected to speak soon here now that Marine One has landed here at Joint Andrews Base. We will continue to watch this, and we'll bring it to you as soon as he steps out and starts speaking. Well, let's get right into our coverage here for Inauguration Day. Today is the day, and between the tensions around it and the pandemic, it will definitely be unlike any other our country has seen. Instead of those balls and parades we're used to seeing, there will be Zoom parties. And instead of thousands heading out to the Capitol grounds and National Mall, there will be members of the National Guard there in place. The ceremony is set to start at 9:30 our time.
It was also a solemn moment on the eve of Joe Biden's inauguration. The president-elect, along with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, stopped by the Lincoln Memorial to pay tribute to the more than 400,000 American lives lost to COVID-19.
It's hard sometimes to remember, but that's how we heal. It's important to do that as a nation.
The Presidential Inaugural Committee has planted nearly 192,000 U.S. flags on the National Mall lawn. Of course, that's to represent Americans who can't attend Biden's swearing in because of coronavirus. No doubt this inauguration is quite different from any one before it.
Now on your side's Megan Myers speaks with a professor at the University of Arizona about the historic significance.
The presidential inauguration is a historic day in American history, but after weeks of tension in Washington, this year's event is planned different. Security is expected to tighten even more at the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris.
We won't see the typical public inauguration like is usually the case and has been throughout much of American history.
A smaller audience is invited, consisting mostly of lawmakers and their guests, one being Arizona Governor Doug Ducey.
I think what we'll probably see is Biden really move away from divisive politics and instead try to kind of embrace a unity-oriented message.
Christopher Weber is a professor at the University of Arizona School of Government and Public Policy. He specializes in political behavior in American politics.
It was quite clear that Arizona played a pivotal role in this election. Again, this move to Arizona as a purple state.
During Biden's first weeks in office, many are expecting answers about the proposed $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. That plan includes $1,400 stimulus checks. The public also anticipating the discussion of issues like immigration, student loans, and climate change.
These are enormous challenges, and it will it not only come down to how the Biden presidency navigates these, but also how the Biden presidency sells these to the American public.
Professor Christopher Weber says how Arizonans receive the upcoming decisions of the Biden administration will likely determine how the state will vote in the future. Megan Meyer, KGUN 9 on your side.
All right, we want to take you live here right now. The president just stepped out of Marine One here at Joint Base Andrews. You are seeing right now the beginning of the ceremony, which is going to include the color guard, military band, 21 gun salute, and the red carpet is out there for him. There is President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump right now. He's heading to the podium, so let's listen in.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we love you, and I can tell you that from the bottom of my heart. This has been an incredible 4 years. We've accomplished so much together. I want to thank all of my family and my friends and my staff and so many other people for being here. I want to thank you for your effort, your hard work. People have no idea how hard this family worked. They worked, and they worked for you. They could have had a much easier life, but they did a fantastic job. I just want to thank all of you, everyone. I want to thank Mark Meadows, who's here, someplace right there. I want to thank Mark. But it's been It's been something very special. We've accomplished a lot. Our First Lady has been a woman of great grace and beauty and dignity. And so popular with the people, so popular with the people. In fact, honey, would you like to say a few words, please?
Being your First Lady was my greatest honor. Thank you for your love and your support. You will be in my thoughts and prayers. God bless you all. God bless your families. And God bless this beautiful nation. Thank you.
What else has to be said, right? But what we've done, that's true, honey, great job. What we've done has been amazing by any standard. We rebuilt the United States military. We created a new force called Space Force. That in itself would be a major achievement for a regular administration. We were not a regular administration. We took care of the vets, 91% approval rating. They've never had that before. The vets have given us, the VA, the vets have given us an approval rating like has never been before. We took care of our vets and our beautiful vets. They were very badly treated before we came along. And as you know, we get them great service and we pick up the bill and they can go out and they can see a doctor if they have to wait long periods of time. We got it so that we can sadly get rid of people that don't treat our vets properly. We didn't have any of those rights before when I came on, so our vets are happy, our people are happy, our military is thrilled. We also got tax cuts, the largest tax cut and reform in the history of our country by far. I hope they don't raise your taxes. But if they do, I told you so. And if you look at the regulations, which I consider the regulation cuts to be maybe even more important, that's why we have such good and have had such good job numbers. The job numbers have been absolutely incredible. When we started, had we not been hit by the pandemic, we would have had numbers that would never have been seen. Already our numbers are the best ever. If you look at what happened until February a year ago, our numbers were at a level that nobody had ever seen before. And even now, we really built it twice. We got hit. Nobody blames us for that. The whole world got hit, and then we built it again. And now the stock market is actually substantially higher than it was at its higher point prior to the pandemic. So it's really, you could say we built it twice. And you're going to see incredible numbers start coming in if everything is sort of left alone. Be careful. Very complex. Be careful. But you're going to see some incredible things happening. And remember us when you see these things happening, if you would. Remember us, because I'm looking at elements of our economy that are set to be a rocket ship up. It's a rocket ship up. We have the greatest country in the world. We have the greatest economy in the world. And as bad as the pandemic was, we were hit so hard, just like the entire world was hit so hard. Places that thought they got away with it didn't get away with it. They're suffering right now. We did something that is really considered a medical miracle. They're calling it a miracle, and that was the vaccine. We got the vaccine developed in 9 months instead of 9 years or 5 years or 10 years or a long time. It was supposed to take a long time, many, many years to develop a vaccine. We have 2 out. We have another one coming almost immediately, and it really is a great achievement. So you should start to see really good numbers over the next few months. I think you're going to see those numbers really skyrocket downward. And I can only say this, we have worked hard. We've left it all, as the athletes would say, we've left it all in the field. We don't have to come and say, we'll never say in a month when we're sitting in Florida, we're not going to be looking at each other and saying, you know, if we only worked a little bit harder, you can't work harder. And we had a lot of obstacles, and We went through the obstacles, and we just got 75 million votes, and that's a record in the history of sitting presidents. That's an all-time record by a lot, by many millions. In the history of sitting presidents, it's been really just an honor. One of the things we're very, very proud of is the selection of almost 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. That's a very big number. That's a record-setting number. And so we've done a lot, and there's still things to do. The first thing we have to do is pay our respects and our love to the incredible people and families who suffered so gravely from the China virus. It's a horrible thing that was put onto the world. We all know where it came from, but it's a horrible, horrible thing. So be very careful. Be very, very careful. But we want to pay great love to all of the people that have suffered, including families who have suffered so gravely. So with that, I just want to say you are amazing people. This is a great, great country. It is my greatest honor and privilege to have been your president. I will always fight for you. I will be watching, I will be listening, and I will tell you that the future of this country has never been better. I wish the new administration great luck and great success. I think they'll have great success. They have the foundation to do something really spectacular. And again, we put it in a position like it's never been before, despite the worst plague to hit since, I guess you'd say 1917, over 100 years ago. And despite that, the things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. And again, I want to just, in leaving, I want to thank our Vice President, Mike Pence, and Karen. I want to thank Congress, because we really worked well with Congress, at least certain elements of Congress. But we really did. We've gotten so much done that nobody thought would be possible. But I do want to thank Congress. And I want to thank all of the great people of Washington, D.C., all of the people that we worked with to put this miracle together. So have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, some final remarks from President Trump as he wraps up his presidency on this 20th of January. He will be leaving Joint Base Andrews right now in Air Force One with First Lady Melania. They will be heading to Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Keep in mind the inauguration will air right here on KGUN 9, plus any of our streaming platforms starting at 9:30 this morning. Make sure to stay with us throughout the day on our air and online too. We also have a complete guide about what's happening today up on our website, kgun9.com. We'll take a short break, folks, at 6:45. Stay with us.